intro music we got kicking tonight.
Oh, yes. Oh, my
This is
God.
classic.
This takes me back to 1996.
Yeah.
That's it. 96, 92, 90. Yeah, this was before.
Here's the thing. Even if you're 4 or 5 like I was, you have older brothers, they show you this type of stuff. This song is an absolute gem. Like, this is great.
So,
Great song.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
It
so
reminds
this
us of
was
the old man, our old man back in the day.
this was one of his classics, especially on like an LSU game day. He would
On
always get
Endymion
this.
Saturday, right?
And Endymion Saturday, Mardi Gras, LSU, any big, even when he was watching the Saints, if it was a big vibe day, our old man would always crank that song up, and that was the first song on his playlist every time. If you remember, Zombie, that was the first. That was the kickoff.
That's to get
song.
the blood pumping song.
That was your father's song. That you would play for game day, saying, "Rest in peace, sir. Rest in peace, sir. You have great taste."
Yeah. Pour out a little Miller Pony for him.
Yeah, Miller High Life Pony, the champagne of beers. Zombie's gonna pull one.
Wait.
That's an original one. How many years ago has it been now? For
that would have been
beer.
like, well, we can't talk about that on here.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a story we can't tell on the air about how we celebrated the old man's passing 5 years later after he passed.
Right.
It took us a little while to get around to the way we wanted to celebrate him, but we did in the long run. So Steve's giving me the cut it. Don't tell too many details.
I would love to hear that story, whether off air, on air. Like, I want to hear that story.
100%. We'll tell you, Lonn. We'll tell you. So, look, tonight we have the esteemed, cutting-edge investigative journalist of LSU football, Lonn Phillips Sullivan. You know him from Twitter. You know him from LSU Odyssey. And Lonn, we just cannot thank you enough for taking the time, in general, to come on the podcast with us, but especially during this storm of controversy and stubbornness and intrigue. It's like a spy novel. You know, like, is he injured? Isn't he injured? Who's got the secret code for the Berlin Wall to be exploding? You know, it's just so much going on. But before we dive into that, just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this and doing it full time. I mean, you're on Twitter for 10 years. You're on LSU Odyssey. You've been doing that for 7, 8, 9 years now, Lonn?
Yeah, it's been 8.5 years, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the amazing intro. It's been a wild ride. I just started, I was actually managing a liquor store right out of high school, and I was just working like the register, but then I got a manager job pretty quick, and I just noticed really quick I barely had time to watch the games, and during that 2017 season, and if I had time, it was like after the fact. It's just not the same, especially back then. You couldn't. Now I'm better at like hiding scores from myself. Back then, the notifications were new, and you're just like, oh God, you just ruined the score. So I was working at this job where I didn't really have much free time. Very early, you get home very late. It was just rough. And one of the days I just went in there, and I'm just like, good riddance. And I didn't know what I was going to do then, but Chelsea was like, I think security might be the best way for you to go, because you actually have free time and you haven't, been writing in a bit, which is the first time in Chelsea and I's relationship that hadn't happened. And so she kind of pushed me to go for a security gig, and I started, low on the totem pole, kind of moved up. But what was really interesting was the whole time I had these opportunities to, listen to Dan Patrick all day, or listen to this sports commentator, watch this game, do that, you had all that free time. And so I was kind of like exploring, what could I do here? Listening to a lot of sports radio. And I just found myself suddenly writing a blog about the World Cup that was going on in the summer of 2018. And I'm really obsessed with the football as well. So, but I just found myself writing about LSU nonstop. Oh, sorry, what was that?
That's Chip's wheelhouse as well. World Cup soccer.
Oh yes,
I love
perfect.
soccer, man.
Well, and I was just writing a lot of that type of stuff, and I just found myself writing LSU, kind of excited about where the season was going to go. And I kind of fell in love with Joe Burrow's long hair and his just kind of bad attitude. And I just loved writing about, we actually have a quarterback who will actually throw it up there, actually give the receiver a chance. This guy's interesting, man. He's actually throwing the ball. He's actually putting it up there. So I kind of liked his vibe. It kind of just the entertainment of that era, especially this is only 2018, but I really started just obsessing over that era and writing about those guys, getting to know them online, know their families. And one thing led to another. And I mean, the 2019 season, of course, you're swept up in the bliss and the glory of that. And of course, when you see a game like the Oklahoma game or the Clemson game or the Georgia SEC championship, you have to okay, we saw that. Now you have to write an article that's 10 times better. Like you have to capture that. You have to make it into a freaking movie on the page. And so I just tried to do that. And I think it was T-Bob. Yeah, it was T-Bob Hebert, now at Barstool. He was one of the first people. I was just kind of doing this as a fan, didn't really, just kind of doing it to entertain a group of fans that are still friends of mine to this day. A lot of them are loyal subscribers to the site as well, really supportive, just amazing people. A lot of them you guys know. But they kind of just kept pushing me to, hey, there's something real here. But when I saw that from T-Bob, he compared it to Hunter S. Thompson, who's one of my favorite writers. And it was just awesome. Oh my God, bro, that's quite flattering. But then he said some stuff privately that just said, this is what you're going to do in life. This is kind of your mission. You've always wanted to cover sports, but you don't really, I kind of saw myself as like a fiction writer, an artist, I never really kind of thought covering sports is what I was going to do or being a journalist, even though that's what my mom was. I was literally raised a lot of times in a newspaper environment, growing up in that type of world. And so I didn't really expect that or see that type of breaking news type of stuff around the corner. But once you start talking to players, their families, that type of stuff, those opportunities can sometimes come around. And I just kind of took one opportunity as it came. And I've tried to really stay loyal to my sources. If somebody says something really juicy, but then instantly says, crap, don't put that out anywhere.
Right.
I listen to that and stay loyal to that. And I think that's the reason we're still around, and we've been able to build something over about 8.5 years now. And I think people can tell that I'm in this for the long haul. LSU have had some really bad seasons. They had some glorious seasons in the time I've done this. But man, it's just about love for LSU. I fell in love with LSU as a young guy watching SEC on CBS with my brothers. And you guys know this if you have older brothers. Even if you're really little, and 5, 6, your older brothers are going to tell the little brother, pay attention to that dude. That's the player. That's the guy. And you're going to know maybe a little bit more than kids your age because of the older brothers. And one of those guys was Kevin Falk. He was the first LSU Tiger. I was like, this is my team. Yeah. This guy, this is my team, because I loved running backs at the time. I actually thought he was Marshall Falk from the Rams. I thought he was Marshall Falk's brother somehow. Maybe I just invented that in my mind as like a 6, 7-year-old, but I just, something about that name and all that, just seeing what he would do against Florida, against Houston, against Michigan State, Nick Saban's Michigan State, by the way. Just a legendary. And LSU weren't like the top SEC program or anything, but it was the vibe, it was the atmosphere. It was like, this is my team. I just love the colors from the stadium. Everything enticed me to being an LSU fan. And then from there, you get a season with Jacob Hester making Tim Tebow cry. You get, the amazing 2003 season, the Saban era, the crazy, wild Les Miles era, Coach O. I mean, LSU really, for me, there's no better program to cover. It's literally like I'm covering a Hollywood movie every day. And that's even when Brian Kelly has kept it kind of relatively dramatic free this last offseason. There's still a lot of meat on that bone. There's always LSU personalities in the past. If there's no content in the current, there's so many LSU luminaries to talk to and to go back and kind of, showcase. And there's just so much to LSU, so many what ifs,
right?
So many crazy scenarios that have happened, a lot of wins, a lot of losses, a lot of tough nights, a lot of glory nights. And for me, it's
in your blood, right? All of us.
It's the pinnacle program in college football. And I understand I'm biased, but I'm also not from Louisiana as well. And so I've kind of seen the national landscape too. You can't get better than LSU.
But Lonn, you just said that you're biased, but would you also say spoiled?
Well, offensively, LSU have had some good offensive seasons recently, but usually those offensive seasons have been like, oh, Max Johnson and Kayshon Boutte put up a ton of yards, but we can't run the ball to save our life. So like LSU have not been, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that one cut me. That spoiled, y'all are spoiled, and we're 17-1 at home at night. But like you said, this is the only program in the country that can claim the last 3 head coaches have won a national championship. Each during that tenure, each in their 3rd year. And even if you want to say the cupboard was bare when Orgeron left and Kelly took over, going into the season, as Daniel and Chip and I were getting ready for the first one, and I was late to the game, and I'm like, I don't even know who the left guard is, or the third, tight end, or the 5th guy in the rotation at defensive tackle. Then finally, Lonn, I just said, it doesn't matter. Like, this is an $18 million roster. It's time for Brian Kelly to show us. He's a year behind the other guys, and it doesn't look like anything's going to happen this year, as horrific as the offense looks. But I'm going to let you speak to all of that.
Hey, man, I mean, like you said, even if you literally were blind, but and have no way of knowing, I'm not meaning like, literally blind, but like you're blind, you have no clue who the players are that we brought in, that we signed. But you hear that we've filled pretty much every spot. You're hearing kind of, we've got this guy. He's a, you hear all the pedigree, but just no names, no former schools. And then you hear the dollar amount. You would be like, oh, sweet. No excuses for Kelly. We're going to be in the playoff, and we're actually not just going to go on a playoff. We're going to go on a run with the quarterback you have, all that stuff. And guys, are we victims of self-hype, LSU? Like, do we self-hype these teams up, or is it the coaches who do it, and the media helps them kind of propel that into a narrative? And because I've seen it happen in real form, real life.
Jumping on this one, well, I think we're definitely LSU fans. We do this for fun. The podcast and such, but go take from 2015 when the team carried Les Miles off of his shoulders, off the field on their shoulders, and going into 2016, I went to the Wisconsin game, and I'm like, oh, well, we're going to be undefeated going into Alabama, we're going to kick their ass, and I was so excited when we got our ass beat in Lambeau Field, because it took all the pressure off. And then I was like, I'm done with this team. So I think that you're right that we self-hype so many times. But again, this is LSU. And then again, you put that much money into your roster this year, the $18 million. So you have the college quarterback, 5th-year senior coming back, who threw for more yards than any other returning quarterback from, his junior year. And I don't think it's just us.
I think it was Brian Kelly too. I mean, there was the quote before the season started when they were the media was questioning the offensive line in fall camp, and he said, "Trust me, I know a thing about offensive line. This group's going to be good."
Oh man, that
so
comment.
He did hype it. So he did say that. I don't remember when it was, but they asked him what the difference is between this year and last year. It might have been after Clemson that he said the differences were much better player wise.
Yep.
So he has made those comments too, where he is overhyped this team, and it's time, as Zombie Bob loves to say, it's time for him to prove it, because he is getting paid handsomely.
Yes.
So it's not just the talent. Guess what? You get paid to coach and motivate this team as well. The talent can't just show up on Saturdays. You got to guide it there Sunday through Friday to get them to the game.
That's why I said, the fans, we hype it up, but the coaches do it too, and the coaches lead us into that direction, because LSU fans, yes, we're notorious for kind of sticking the knife in when things go wrong and questioning and stuff like. But usually, 99% of the time, LSU's fans are so supportive and faithful to the coaches. I mean, Kelly had basically had like an armed brigade for the last few years of like, Coach O screwed everything up, give him ultimate patience, and a lot of defending of Brian Kelly regarding the situation, whatever the situation was. Now, I mean, he's said it. Judge me by year 3. Well, now we're on year 4, and you've been given the investment. You've been given everything. Yes, I feel like LSU should have gotten one more veteran offensive lineman, at least. I feel like they should have added at least some type of running back presence to that room. Obviously, they didn't know JT Lindsay would be gone, or Caden Durham hurt, or that they couldn't count on Trey Holly once again because of the air conditioning in a courthouse not working.
Right.
But just insane.
Welcome to Louisiana, right?
Yeah. just madness. But for me, I just it really is about stakes, and it really is at its highest for Brian Kelly. I don't want to hear any fans trying to make, well, his quarterback got hurt before the season ever started, and he got seriously hurt by week 4 or 5 or whatever the narrative wants to be. He's had these injuries since before the season. Kelly's known about it. Kelly reported it, actually. Like, I reported one of these injuries, and then Kelly put both of those out. And I just kind of feel like, why are you putting a target on your quarterback? Like, everybody didn't need to know that, but it was because he wanted to use it as an excuse for why the offense was playing like shit. And I just, I don't know.
It feels like he's always kind of like he's always. It's like he's always got an excuse. It seems like to me. And you're talking. I'm probably the biggest Kelly fan out of everybody.
Oh, by far, Chip was.
I was a big fan of the hire, which I mean it was a phenomenal hire. I'll still stand by that for what it was then. But I just wanted to comment on the LSU. Yes, do we do it to ourselves a little bit? Absolutely. But I do think LSU is one of the rare programs in college football that could go 0-13 one year and then win a national championship the next.
Yes.
And I know that sounds crazy, but I think Miami can. I think LSU can. I think Ohio State can. I think Alabama can, maybe in Georgia, and that's about it. And or Auburn, because they've done it before at 3-8, and then 3-10, and went to a national championship the next year. But there's very few teams that can do that, and I think that's where the optimism comes from fans, because they know we can. They've seen the program at the top and the lowest. That's the like you said earlier, Lonn. We have seen the lows and we have seen the major highs, and I consider myself lucky for that. So, and I don't think spoiled, and I don't think anyone's spoiled on this that's talking right now. So, and that was a little not offensive, because I hate that word, but it was annoying. It was annoying. It was a dumb comment.
Yes.
And you've taken a shit since then. So
I feel like Brian Kelly always has, with his press conferences and his quotes, he always has self-inflicted gunshot wounds, is what I call it, where he kind of just says these things that they blow up nationally.
Yes.
He's shooting himself. And if you know that the national media is quick to jump on you, don't say that. And you know,
It's almost like he loves it or something because it happened.
He loves to stick his foot in the mouth. I mean, he's as bad as anybody we've had when it comes to sticking your foot, and we've had some people stick their foot in their mouth.
Yeah, Orgeron had stuff go viral all the time.
Not a great running back, but a good running back.
When he was percent. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's a classic.
Wait, did I say great? I meant good.
But you know, most of Orgeron's gaffes were like funny, and he would go viral, and it would be like funny clips or like lighthearted.
Miles. Yeah.
But it wasn't like we just get this vitriol spit back at us from, you know, the national media. And that's what I said, Lonn, after the game, that, you know, that's the most frustrating part about being a fan of the Brian Kelly LSU team, is that when we go on Twitter after we lose, you got Bleacher Report, you got Barstool, you got all these places that just have their tweets teed up, ready to go. They got their memes, they got their GIFs of Brian Kelly, and it's just like, man, I'm really frustrated with this loss as is. I don't need to get dunked on too when I go on Twitter by everybody, and that's the most frustrating thing to me. Is I feel like we lose twice.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, that's a brilliant way to put it. Because I was there when Kelly smashed the podium against USC. I was literally on the front row, like right in front of him, directly in front of him, probably. And I was noticing while he was talking before he smashed the podium, people were kind of like staring at their phones, kind of like out of it, not even looking at Kelly. I'm like staring at Kelly. I'm kind of looking to my left slightly, looking to my right a little. No one's paying any attention, and he just goes, boom! It makes me so angry. And I heard afterwards that he was suffering from a severe flu-like symptoms, and you could see it. Just he was not feeling good. That situation did not work for him very well, and it's just continued, and they have the knives out for him. And it's not like Kim Mulkey where, you know, they hate Kim Mulkey, they accuse her of some absolutely terrible things, but
Sure.
Her winning, the way that she can win over those girls, no matter what anyone says outside, black, white, lesbian, straight, it doesn't matter. They're willing to play for her. It always just nullifies the BS from the outside. Brian Kelly, on the other hand, is yet to prove that. And I sometimes wonder how much is he interested in the day-to-day of coaching a football team. I hate to say that. I hate to question someone's professionalism like that. It's year 4, and we continue to hear about delegation. A lot of golf trips, a lot of this, and he loves the media tours. He loves the speeches. He loves the Rotary Club moment, and he said a lot of stuff week 1 that has usually bit us in the ass. This time, the Death Valley Junior one, he got away with. And, you know, good for him to get away with that one, like get a win on that, like fine. But there have been some outrageous gaffes, and recently I think this whole thing just takes the cake, though.
Well, yeah, you wrote the story last year about I don't remember who it was that termed the disconnect first, that there was a disconnect in the program, and then you wrote the piece on it. Where you dove deep into it and some of the different things that he does and doesn't do, and he's not engaged. And I was just telling Zombie Bob one of those stories. It was this week, right? Mm-hmm. That about how, you know, there's certain times where there's team meals where he's not there when they're on the road, that he's off with his wife somewhere else. And I've heard that from other places too, that maybe he's not as committed as he should be. But what I always say is, if I was 63 years old and I got $100 million guaranteed, would I be as motivated too? Probably not. So
I think naturally you wouldn't be, you know, it's
good
just
point.
The nature.
And then the worse job you do, the quicker you get to see that money, or the less you have to do to see that money.
He's tanking intentionally.
No, I'm not saying he's tanking, but it's human nature.
If he was, that would be, I mean, great move by him.
Lon, what I always said about Les Miles is if after that Texas A&M game in 2015, if he wouldn't have been so hard-headed and if he would have changed his offensive approach, like he'd still be the CEO. And I wouldn't care if Brian Kelly was a bit hands-off and more the CEO of the LSU football program if he could put together a competent staff. Like to date at LSU, he doesn't have complementary pieces of a football team. We've had fantastic offenses, would have been in the playoffs if we had a middle of the road Midland defense.
think
It's like he
Yeah.
can't get it at the same time that he. And look, I get Joe Sloan, recruiting Underwood, and I get all that, but we're in a different era now. And now then you promote him up to OC to get the kid on campus, whereas for the first 40 years of Brian Kelly's career, that worked. Well, that's not where we are anymore. And so then you stuck with a guy who's in over his head and isn't good at what he's doing. And on the other side of the ball, we got a guy that's going to be a head coach pretty soon because he's got those guys running and gunning. But I wouldn't mind the hands off, and I wouldn't mind the stories that have come out and that you've reported on if he had the product like Kim Mulkey. Winning cures everything, and he
Yeah.
hasn't won.
Well, I mean, he's won some big games. We can't take that away from him. He's had
No,
some moments. I mean, he took LSU to their second SEC title game appearance since 2011. He's done some good things here at LSU. He's cleaned up the culture.
Did we lose you, Lon?
Sorry,
there you
I
go.
thought I was like, oh my gosh, did that thing just exit on me? He's cleaned up the culture a lot. He's cleaned up the culture a lot. He's cleaned up some real big problems that were going on in the program off the field, and that has to be extreme continuity with your coaching staff. Think about that. Did you think we would have Hankton, Sloan, Frank Wilson, Brad Davis for 4 years? He's kept those guys for 4 years, and we haven't been able to run the football. We haven't been able to generate a rushing offense. And we relied on Jaden Daniels and too much for 2 years. And I think because of that, I think they kind of got lazy about it or something. Because there's no development there. But thank you so much for talking about the disconnect article, because I got a lot of shit from LSU brass over that article.
I remember.
I got a lot.
I remember that. Well, that's one of the things that are appealing about you, Lon. And like, this is not to kiss your ass by any means, but I think the hard work shows. I know I've said it to you before, and that's what caught Daniel and I's eye 4 years ago was, man, this guy busts his ass. Like,
Thank you, man.
If I don't agree with you, which nobody does in life, nobody agrees with everybody on everything.
Of course.
I still see the hard work, and I just want to say I appreciate it. And I wanted to say that after your intro, but we have a lot of people on here. But I appreciate you, and thank you for coming on, and great intro, and just keep up the hard work. And the show's not ending, but I just wanted to say that.
Well,
Yeah,
I
appreciate you, man.
And give
Thank
you
you so
flowers
much.
as well. Like the thing that I wrote down as you were talking and everything, and like that you said, like you'd meet players and their families and former players and their families. And I know one of the most recent articles that you have out that about Nussmeier's injury, that Brian Kelly insists, isn't there, and he's going to be fine, and he's resting up and everything. But just the word integrity, because you reference 52 contacts that you reached out to, within the LSU program, and then also close to Nussmeier himself. Like there's not 52 people talking to you if you're not known for your integrity. Like like you said earlier when we were talking about it, if someone says, "Oh, like here's the juicy bit," but like, "Oh, wait, you can't run with that." And obviously, you've not run with things so that you have the integrity that these people know that you do, and that's why players are talking to you. That's why families are talking to you. much less all your other sources and everything. So that, I mean, literally, congratulations on because it can't be easy as a single guy, doing your thing, starting it up and diving in there. And like you said, you got called before the LSU brass. It takes brass balls to do and write the stories that you're writing and say, I know, I stand by what I'm reporting. And because you do have the relationships, because of your integrity, because of your hard work, and then we're benefiting from it because not everybody out there is saying the same things that you're saying, Lon.
No, people are afraid to say it.
Yeah, and then when you do say it, and even if you're right, there's going to be a portion of the fan base that'll tell you, well, no offense to Jacob Hester or anybody, but like they'll tell you there's something. I guess being a player, maybe I'm not like holding anything against him, but when you're reporting something that I think it might be a little worse than the injury, they're saying people get mad at you but you're just doing your job, and that's what journalism is supposed to be: investigating and figuring out the truth, right? And I think you do a pretty good job of that, man.
We gave you too many flowers.
Well, yeah, I don't know if his audio cut out, but I was gonna say, like, well, what Chip's saying is that players are taught when you're in a program to protect the program. So sometimes these media guys that are former players, Jacob Hester, Matt Flynn, yada yada, T-Bob, you can go down the list, Gordy, all of them. They're so used to protecting the brand at all costs that it's almost like they're always just in with the marching orders, as opposed to busy in their new job actually reporting the story. I think we got Lonn back now. But that's the problem with some of those guys in media is they are not really worried about what the truth is as much as they just want to echo.
They want to be liked.
What the program. Yeah, they want to be liked by the program instead.
Yes.
Lonn, are you still there? Are you there? Are you back?
He's thinking about it. I don't understand Brian Kelly doubling down on all of this.
Gabe says T-Bob isn't protecting the brand anymore.
Well, we talking about T-Bob's not here. T-Bob's in Chicago.
Yeah, so he's trying to fit in with his new crew. That's what we talked about on, I think, Monday night. Didn't we talk about that, Chip?
Yeah.
That T-Bob in his new role is trying to fit in with the in crowd at Barstool instead of, because he was such a homer when he was here.
Especially in Whiskey and Wine.
Yeah. And so now he's like trying to distance himself from that, but that's what made T-Bob great.
Yeah, T-Bob was
let me see you.
Well, we do have the federal government shutdown, so maybe that's why we're having difficulties tonight. Maybe the internet's down somewhere.
We're not talking politics here, Steve.
I didn't say anything political. I'm just talking facts.
Otherwise, the Mossad's going to come after you.
I hear.
No, we need to read that.
Every time I hear
the disclaimer.
Every time I hear an engine running up in the air, I'm like, Mossad's going to kill me.
Gabe said the morning show is definitely missing without T-Bob. That is 100% true. I was watching it on Monday morning. As much as I like Hester, I know Zombie Bob has mixed feelings on Matt Flynn. It's not as good as
gone up.
It's not as good as it used to be.
Yeah, I think he's actually been okay. And he's not T-Bob, he's not but I think he's actually
who's got more championship rings, Matt Flynn or Zombie Bob? Matt Flynn. Who's got more charisma and personality, Zombie Bob or Matt Flynn? Zombie Bob.
No, you've got 3 championship rings. Matt Flynn's only got 1. You got 03, you got 07, and you got 19. You can claim them all as a fan.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Oh, a friend of the program in.
Guys.
Hey, thank God.
We got Mike Dragon from Pot of Gold in the chat tonight.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mikey. Yeah, Lonn. I think maybe we were giving you too many flowers, and you're like, wow, like I got to go fire my press agent and hire these guys.
No. I'm sorry, but I don't know what happened.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
We filibustered our way through it.
Why is Brian Kelly doubling down on all this foolishness? And what happens if Nussmeier goes out against South Carolina and he looks just like he did against Ole Miss?
Well, and he's going to have to.
Daniel, you got to get better budget for the audio.
I don't know. Is it me or is the audio? We got to upgrade the
I don't know.
package.
You got to upgrade the package for our guests.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm catching good at it.
So the question is, I'll change your question, Zombie.
Okay.
Would we have benefited from not playing him against Southeastern? Hindsight being 2020, how much if he only has so many bullets in the cannon per se, in the gun, in the arm, did we fucking waste them all against Southeastern? That's my question.
Well, he looked good. I mean, you could believe Brian Kelly after the Southeastern
things
game.
right.
Like he needs the reps. We need the timing, and he looked the part. But like Lonn reported, why was he in there to start the third quarter and he took that hit on the lower body hit or whatever? So like why are we kicking a 60-yard field goal that comes up 10 yards short, and then you lose your first guy off the bench for the offensive line? Like it doesn't make sense.
It just breathes and it just seems incompetent, and that's the best
Right.
word I can like. It's just
Mismanagement.
Mismanagement. It's just, I think. I mean, I don't know if we're on this discussion. I feel, like I said, I've seen this. Like I learned how to read through the media guide, and I said that to Lonn the other day. But I've been, first game 1988, Ole Miss, on TNT or TBS, one of those. But it was 11 o'clock kickoff. I'll never forget it. I was invested at that a year before that as a 3-year-old. My first memories are LSU. I think I felt pretty hopeless after we didn't beat Notre Dame. What was the bowl game? It would have been the 2008, the 17 season, the one that right before you started.
One of the Gator Bowl or whatever.
On the inch line.
Rocky and I were there. Rocky from St. Rose and I were there.
Absolutely.
And they lost on the last play of the game, a long touchdown, some bullshit.
And then I go on a date with a girl to Clemson, Alabama that night, and Alabama whoops Clemson's ass in New Orleans. And I'm just like, man, it's done. It's not going to happen. I felt pretty hopeless that night, and we won a national championship 2 years later. So what the hell do I know? Exactly. It's the kind of that's just LSU football in a nutshell. You're never out, and I think
it can change quickly.
It can change quickly, just like in the 2001 season when Saban won a SEC. And I'm not trying to talk myself into us doing that this year. I have no faith at this point, but who knows in 2 weeks? And I think if you play like you did against Ole Miss, you're going to lose against South Carolina, because I feel like he's maybe not as well. I mean, he's as good as a runner as what's the Ole Miss quarterback's name? I've already blocked that out of my head.
Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah. And I feel like it's scary. I mean, it's another scary game, just like in you got a lot of scary games left, man.
You're going through the meat grinder from this point forward. That's what's scary.
But Lonn, talk to us about why would you pay Michael Van Buren? What did they pay him? 140, 160,000 to come here as the backup quarterback, the number 2, and you don't put him on the field midway through the third quarter of that LSU game?
Yeah, I really don't understand why you're up 35-0. You've gotten through the first half. Nuss looks okay. He threw that touchdown pass to Xavier. Things are looking good. Get him out of there. He's already hurt. Get him out of there. And, I mean, people were calling me you're a pussy and stuff like that, because the week before I was saying we got to think about maybe not playing him this game. And notice that someone else who was saying the same thing that week, I didn't know about this until later, Matt Flynn was saying that same stuff. Jacob Hester saying that same stuff. Maybe we shouldn't play him this Southeastern game, because he was obviously hurt. And you play him in that game, and okay, all right, you've gotten away with it. Now shut him down. The fact you have him go out there for one more series, it's inexplicable to me. And of course he gets low. And who knows what that's done. But the footwork doesn't look right. The way he's passing the ball doesn't look right through the core. It looks almost like he's kind of wincing and kind of not non-committal into throwing the pass because it hurts, damn it, and your body's not going to go through with it. It's kind of just a natural human reaction. You notified or not notified. You noticed that I put 52 sources. That is the most people I've ever talked to about any story I've ever done. And I mean, probably by like 20 or something like that. A lot of different people, as close to Garrett Nussmeier as you can be as well. And a lot of what I was told was kind of all over the place and kind of hard to decipher. But you recognize the patterns. You try not to be duped, try not to be deceived. And then you listen to the people who've got the best track record with you as far as being a source. And everything, I mean, the pattern doesn't tell me that he's being shut down immediately. Oh my gosh, there's surgery. Even I wasn't saying that before Kelly announced that today. But I was saying that things are not looking good. He's hurt in multiple places. We've been saying that for a while. It's getting worse. And there is considerations about what they're going to do. And there's some movement. And here's the thing. Because this has happened before. And not about a quarterback, not about a starting quarterback, but about some other starters. Kelly has said, oh, they're fine and everything. And then we heard that they had some type of operation like 3 days later. So, like there's a track record with that happening. And so I'm just, this is a very strange story. And you did say it was like a spy novel or something, a spy movie. And it is,
Yeah.
It's bizarre. You love doing this job. You love stories like this. But like, as someone who really loves Garrett Nussmeier, loves his family, I hate this for him. That, he waited for LSU. He wanted LSU. He stayed at LSU. Right after the 2022 SEC title game, he has this awesome cameo appearance against Georgia. And I'm like, man, you just, yeah. And I'm like, man, you had a hell of a game tonight. I kind of say it kind of close to him, like you put up a lot of film tonight for someone to come get you. And he was like, I'm not going anywhere. And he was very adamant, I'm not going anywhere. And right then and there, another year, staring down the barrel of another year behind Jaden Daniels, it just really moved me as like, this dude loves LSU. This is an awesome dude. So I hate this for Garrett Nussmeier. But at the same time, this is the game of football. If you cannot function at the most important, most valuable position on the field, the clock's ticking, and it's not going to get. He's going to have this bye week to hopefully somehow heal, and hopefully he will. But to what extent, I don't know. And we're going to be up against a very, very good defensive front against South Carolina. That's probably their best unit in the entire team. And it's he really doesn't have an O-line. He doesn't have a running game. It's really not a good situation for us. Everything going against him.
It's definitely concerning.
But Lonn, where's his? I mean, obviously his dad's busy, coaching the Saints as the offensive coordinator. But where's his people? He's literally costing not only himself millions of dollars, because as Saints fans, we knew what the season was going to look like, and it was like either you have Rattler or you have Shuck, or we're going to be in the top three, and we're either taking Nuss or we're taking Arch. Well, those don't look too good, But not only himself, but the stubbornness of Brian Kelly sticking with him when he's not 100%. So then you have to blow up the offensive staff because you can't take the offensive line coach back. You're going to have to get a real offensive coordinator. How much money is it going to cost LSU more so when they lose another 2 or 3 games down the road, miss the playoffs with an $18 million roster, to keep the guys that are underclassmen not to transfer? You got to pay them not to leave the sinking ship. Then you got to pay everybody that you've already paid to replace them. And then, we're looking at millions of dollars, not only with Nuss and his side, but then just the state of LSU football. And it's just mind boggling to me, the stubbornness.
Well, and kind of outrageous amount of funds going into the program to keep it running and keep it competitive, not just from the boosters, but from the fans. And I want to see the people of Louisiana get money's worth. It's the second poorest state in the country. And I want to see every cent count. I want to see these people get the entertainment, get the team that they deserve. And I don't feel like Brian Kelly has given them that. One year we have an electric, record-breaking offense that probably, if they played 15 games, maybe the numbers could have rivaled the 2019 offense. We'll never know. Who knows? But they were getting close, at least with those couple of guys, with Malik, with Brian, and, of course, Jaden Daniels. But then 2024, you're going to tep it all the way around, kind of figuring it out. And now it's a complete reverse situation. You have a championship defense. You've put all the chips over there. Great. You thought your offense, you didn't really have to worry about it too much. Add a few pieces here and there. Replacing 4 of 5 offensive line starters. And actually, come to think of it now, replacing all 5 starters. And, man, there's some holes in this team that I think a lot of people, including myself, overlooked in the preseason.
Yeah. Mike in the chat asked, is there any truth to Scarborough's comments about Nuss's work ethic? Chip, did you see that?
I saw that on Tiger Droppings. And essentially that he's not put in the work, that he's not doing the virtual reality that Jaden Daniels did religiously.
I was surprised by that because I did see that. I was surprised by that part, that he wasn't doing the virtual reality stuff. Because Jaden Daniels had been such a proponent of it. And if Nuss is, he was learning behind Jaden, why wouldn't you use that as well, especially if you're hurt?
Yeah.
The only thing. Go ahead, Lonn.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know about anything to do with that, whether he's using it or isn't using it. I haven't heard anything of that except for Kelly's comment today and some of the other opinions about it. But just pay attention to some people who, I understand everything is against Nuss right now, but pay attention to some of the guys who maybe didn't like Nuss to begin with. They're going to be a little more quick to jump on every little last criticism. And I just can't see him not utilizing the virtual reality. I can't see him not having a strong work ethic. Here's the thing, though. Right. Here's one thing I can give an actual correct, true, accurate answer about. Him and the receivers, these new receivers, should have been out there working their asses off together to build the chemistry, and they were not. They should have been doing the summer of 6,000 catches type of thing that they did in 2019. That was nowhere to be found. So that's something you could argue. You could say getting engaged before the season. What is he thinking? His head's not in the game. That's a little too far for me, but I think he was a little anointed, the Heisman, he's going to be the Heisman. And I don't know. I just think sometimes things need to come together. We need to be a little more patient with things, but at the same time, Garrett, it's hard to say if this is the true Garrett Nussmeier, if we've seen the true Garrett Nussmeier, because for me to see a real quarterback's worth, they can't just be throwing in, 8-man coverages there every second. They can't have, 0 running game, an offensive line that could maybe pass block but can't run block. I think it's very deceiving what we've seen from Garrett Nussmeier as an LSU quarterback, because it's incomplete for me. There's bad decision making, but there's also a lot of things around him that are just completely collapsing all the time. If you watch, he's under pressure a ridiculous amount, and there's a lot of times he makes it look easy the way he deals with that pressure and throws in the pressure. But this season, you can tell his body is limiting him from being able to do the things that last year helped him win us games single-handedly almost, some of these games. So it's tough. I want to be objective as possible with Garrett Nussmeier, and I feel like it's tough too because what are the things we're looking for when we want to judge quarterback? We want to see that the offensive structure around him from the get-go isn't like a complete disaster, and that's the problem. Is it is, and so I mean it's kind of downhill from there, and kind of like see what you got with everything like an avalanche coming at you. It's kind of difficult for me to judge Nussmeier completely, although there's a lot of meat on the bone there. The 4,000 passing yard season, but this year you're just not seeing the accuracy. You're not seeing the oomph in the passes, the purpose in the passes, and you're also seeing some completely reckless decision making and some really poor footwork on some of these interceptions where you just know the second he releases the football, he's off balance, all this stuff, it's going in the defender's hands. And so Garrett Nussmeier is a piece of this team, but can Ellis win without him? I think we can. And I'm not going to say Michael Van Buren is Michael Vick or he's going to be Jaden Daniels running around. He had negative 12 yards from 69 carries at Mississippi State. 5 rushing touchdowns, though. He's good in short yardage. He will actually throw that thing up there. He's not limited throwing the football. I think you at least owe it to the fans, to your actual roster of guys out there who going out there trying to win games. If Nuss cannot function, you have to go to MVP. Have to.
Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
that was evident last
week.
week.
Healthy, get him 100%. If he comes back and he's 100%, let him go after it. But at this point, like, yeah, I mean, I think you could get away with beating. I mean, even though I do think Vandy is a good team, I think he can beat Vandy in South Carolina, and then maybe you get to Alabama and maybe you get to Texas A&M a little healthier, and then you play them both. I mean, you've done it before at LSU. Like I said, they did it from 1970 something with who was the quarterback camp for when Burt Jones was there.
There was 3 different quarterbacks that rotated with Burt Jones,
and they would play them all. They played them. They gave them 2 series a game.
Lions,
Steve Ensminger and David Woodley.
Yeah, David Woodley.
Wasn't there a Lions in there too, or
Mickey Guidry?
Hey, Mickey Guidry's my age.
Hey, we did it in 07 with Ryan Perilou and Matt Flynn, and they had defined roles. Like you can do a 2 quarterback system with defined roles. Like when the game was on the line, well, actually there were some times where they put in Perilou, but the majority of the game, Matt Flynn was the starter, but you still used Ryan Perilou. And I'm not comparing, Van Buren to Ryan Perilou, but 2 quarterback systems can work as long as you clearly define what the roles are.
I think, I mean, I know he looked bad in practice, supposedly in fall practice, but I mean, I've seen him play, at Mississippi State. Not that he was like this world beater, but he had the same exact numbers as Lagway, who was being touted as a Heisman Trophy candidate this year.
That's true. That's true.
To each other. And he was also heavily recruited. Like, Mississippi State pulled him in the last minute. I mean, he's a good player. Like, we're acting like he is.
Well, we paid $100,000 for him to come be our second string quarterback.
And I thought it was a phenomenal piece. It was a phenomenal get by them.
Absolutely.
You needed a backup quarterback. But yeah, I think you got to give him a shot. I think you start him against South Carolina. Now, granted, that's a week and a half away. I just don't see Nuss being. Lonn, is he? They said, well, he's not 100%. Okay, he's like 60% right now, if that. I'm being nice, generous right there. Correct? Like he's pretty banged up.
I'd say less than 60.
Yeah, he's a shell of himself from last year, and I love Nuss. Nuss is one of my favorite LSU players of all time, and it's just I feel it's not doing him any justice or the team by running him out there.
Right?
Nope. I 100% agree. I'd love for him to have some medical cure this week and everything to kind of go back to, okay, we're going to have a great season, Nussmeier, the court. Here's the thing, though. The reality has changed. And, we're going to need significant changes to this offense, whether that's quarterback, offensive coordinator, the way we go with the offensive line, maybe give it to all the Alex Atkins as far as the running game. Maybe he doesn't have enough control with the running game. I don't know. But there's something going on.
He definitely rolls his eyes in the booth. I rewatched the game.
Yes.
He is on his face. He's frustrated. So
yeah, and he looks like he has no say.
He was highly sought after 2 years ago, way more than nothing. Again, it's easy to pile on. What's his name? My mind's going blank. Yeah, Sloan. It's easy to pile on Joe Sloan right now. It's layered, like we've said in the past episodes. But yeah, I mean, we have other coaches that can coach on this team. Give them a shot.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
just a programming note. We're up against. We're at the top of the hour. You're good still?
Yeah. How long?
Oh, we don't really have a time, but if you gotta go, feel free to leave.
Usually I cut these guys off around like 10 to
we're just being respectful of your time.
10:30.
We don't want to keep just bullshitting, and then we know you have a family. We know you have.
Oh, you guys are fine. I can hang around for another 15.
Okay. Cool. I just making sure. Well, I mean, thank you for that because you hit the mute button and disappeared for 15. So
you guys are awesome. I'm loving this.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah. And that teamed up with a bad O-line. It's just not a recipe, right? Injured a 50% Nuss and a bad O-line.
Well, yeah. To me, the real story is how pathetic the O-line is, but it's being covered up. The lead is being buried by the Nussmeier injury. But the real problem is or not the real problem because you got several problems. It's a shit sandwich is the analogy that I keep using. The turkey's bad, the cheese is moldy, the bread's moldy, everything's fucked in the shit sandwich. Pardon my French. But the biggest problem is that the O-line can't block three. You're not getting a push. Right. And so I said in a preview pod before the season started, there was too much pressure on Nuss last year, and I thought we weren't as good at wide receiver as we should have been, and that this year we'd have better wide receivers, and I thought we'd be more creative in the run game, take pressure off of Nuss. But shit, this year there's more pressure on him, and he's hurt. And so, that's the real story to me, and part of it is I'm a former O-line guy. But it's the O-line is just absolutely the most fucking pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. And you have talented guys. And like I said earlier, Brian Kelly pounded his chest that I'm an O-line guy. Trust me. And it's guess what? You got to wear it too when it's bad. And you got to own this. But a friend of ours 2 weeks ago said that the Nussmeier injury was a smokescreen. And so maybe it is a smokescreen to cover up for the deficiencies on the offensive line and the rest of the offense. And Kelly's not getting heat for that. He's getting heat for the Nussmeier injury. But really the biggest thing to me is you can't, you're not even in the conversation about establishing a line of scrimmage. You're getting embarrassed.
Man, I mean, Kearns looked like the best one out of them all this week, and then that could be wrong. But Tyree Adams looked just not like himself either. I mean, he's been holding it down. It seemed like at left tackle lately for them. He's been a bright spot, and he was getting his butt kicked this week by.
Yes, that was alarming to me. It was Tyree's been one of the good ones. He's getting his ass kicked inside. What is going on here?
It's there's just a basic lack of fundamentals, and there's a lack of fundamentals, and there's a lack of, you have to have. I heard it was T-Bob on one of his Barstool shows talking about that Les Miles used to put him through 3.5 hour practices, but they were forged in the fire, and that when they got in the games, they had an FU attitude because they had been through the fire of Les Miles' 3.5 hour grinds every day where they're just going ones on ones against each other and iron sharpening iron. And it looks like we don't even practice on the O-line anymore. And I think it's made our D-line worse because I think our D line really hasn't performed to the expectations either. And I know Chip might disagree with me on that, but I think we haven't really performed and been as the individual performances on the D line haven't been as dominant. And I wonder how much of that is because we're going against our O line every day and we're building bad habits.
That's a great point. No one ever even like, oh, your D line is good, regardless of your own O line. It's like, these guys practice against each other. Like, people don't ever even like think of these things, but really, that's a great point. The O line being kind of soft, having these issues, the D line doesn't really have anyone good to really sharpen against, And this year, it seemed like I felt like, okay, the O liner is going to be struggling, but they've got a great D line to be going up against. This will get the O line going. We haven't seen that because let's be real here. The practicing that we've done in the Kelly era has been soft. There isn't enough hitting drills. There isn't enough even just basic tackling drills. They're too scared to do that stuff. They don't want to get an injury or in practice. That stuff's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
And
as you can see, it happens regardless. Yeah.
Yes.
I think we have more injuries on the O line because we're soft. Like in the last 2 years, it feels like all of our O linemen, well, not all of them, I'm being hyperbolic there, but we had 3 guys hurt this past week, if I remember right, or this season so far. And it's because we're not getting a push. So we're getting, if we were being more aggressive, if we were moving the line of scrimmage forward, you're less likely to get an injury instead of you're getting stalemated at the line of scrimmage and you're just getting rolled up on because there's a big scrum right where we are and we're not moving our feet. And so
exactly.
We're getting injured anyway. So we might as well make practice go back to, well, we're not going to go back to 3.5 hour less miles practices, but they need to bring back some of that.
Are we the hammer or the nail?
Yes, the famous. He went off after we lost.
Even in the beginning, when I said that I took offense to Brian Kelly saying that LSU fans were spoiled, we're talking about iron versus iron and sharpening iron. But Brian Kelly said in the offseason, previously we had iron versus butter on the roster. Now we have iron going against iron. And I took offense to that. It's like, it's your roster. Maybe, the first year you took over when you had 39 scholarship players, but like you can't say that after your 3rd year going into your 4th year. I thought that was appalling. I just feel like everything rides on Nussmeier's performance and offensive play calling in South Carolina game. Because if Nussmeier and more, like Daniel said, more importantly, the offense looks like they did against Ole Miss, all hope is lost. And I think he loses, the fan base. And it's just, what are you going to, like, if you couldn't do it now with this team, this roster, 5th-year quarterback, when do we think you're going to put it together? It's not going to happen, in my opinion.
No, Bob, what you're saying is apocalyptic, but it's true because I'm seeing people who were like the most diehard Kelly supporters. Like, I'm talking like anyone criticizes them at all, they leave the group, they block you. These people are diehard Kelly supporters, maybe even like Kelly more than LSU. Well, lately with this Nussmeier thing, he has lost a lot of those people, and it's actually been kind of stunning to me because there's been moments like this before where things didn't add up, but usually it was just kind of media people looking into that and maybe some diehard fans. But this has really affected the fan base in a way that like they won't tolerate it, any more of it. And I don't expect Kelly to tell me exactly what is going on with Nuss. But no comment would work. I'm going to give out injury information about my players, okay. But he's already given information about Nussmeier's injuries himself voluntarily. And he did that, I think, as a smokescreen with the Florida thing. And he thought, oh, sweet, we'll get the offense back and people will think it's just Nuss was not 100%. And he probably didn't, bet on Nussmeier getting that, aggravating that injury worse. That's what seems to have happened here, because
he's got a cranky knee.
I mean, he's got a patellar tendon that's out of whack, and then you've got
Yeah.
an oblique that's torn, and people want to
He's
say
got
that that's not
cranky
what's
oblique.
going on. But
He said it was cranky a couple weeks. He's like, it's a cranky knee. You idiots.
oh yes,
You know,
okay,
It's just it's like
I remember.
Hi, I'm from the Northeast. You guys are idiots, and I'm better than you. That's what it sounds like when he talks to us.
No,
Sometimes
it's
he
true.
does come off as an elitist.
It's
Didn't
true.
Les just
It's true.
give some injury updates like, well, he's got a leg, and he wouldn't go any more specific than that. Was that Les that used to do that?
Yeah, wasn't it, Les?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Les.
Hey, he's got an arm, he's
he-
got a leg, you know.
Yeah, he
Like,
wouldn't
that's how
say
he
an
would go.
injury.
Right,
He would
right.
just say he's got a leg. Les Miles,
I love
man.
that. Like
Yeah.
that's why it was a little strange where it's like you're offering up the information that like I feel I would have gotten in trouble from LSU brass reporting this, but now you're reporting it.
No
And
doubt.
Right.
are you putting a target on your quarterback? 7 sacks through 5 games. He had 16 sacks in 13 last year. So he's getting hit more often, getting sacked more often, and
And
telling
we're loving
everyone,
the
yes.
Lonn, I have a question. I have an off-topic question here because you just made a comment about it. How many times have you been called to the virtual principal's office of LSU brass? And you don't have to give specifics, but you've alluded on Twitter throughout the years that you've gotten in trouble a couple times with the LSU brass. So what's it like getting called into the? I guess it's a virtual principal's office.
Well, there's times it's been face to face because I'll be there and they'll be like, "Hey, you're actually in town. Come talk with us for a second." But I don't think anyone would believe half of the stuff I say about that. So I'm gonna save that for maybe a book later on, I guess. But
Yeah,
I will.
Understandable. You'll be the first.
and
I
don't
will
get in trouble
definitely.
here. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've said so many things that I thought I would for sure have done, pull his credentials. I've never done anything out of malice or hatred of LSU or trying to get at LSU or trying to ruin LSU or their coaches or players. So none of this type of stuff is going to get me in trouble. But really, there are times that there's pieces of information that I think when I got into this thing, I think they expected me to be a fan who had a hobby and give him a press pass, make him feel important, make him look cool, And I don't think they thought that I was actually going to report on things or talk to people or get information or break news. And when that started happening, instantly, and it was about some really just things that you would never expect to get like a call about. But then it started getting worse and worse. Last year was the pinnacle of it, where we were breaking a lot of injury news. We were breaking a lot of, this guy's entered the portal. This guy's all this stuff that's going on. Deshaun Womack being suspended. We broke a lot of stuff last year that got us in trouble constantly. And man, there was some of the stuff that we got back on our phone, just crazy. But I understand they have a job to do, and their job is to protect the program at all costs. And I understand that sometimes that means sometimes you got to intimidate media out of a story. Sometimes you got to kiss ass to media to get them to not do the story or placate them so they don't do the story. Or, I don't want to name names, but you see figures who cover LSU, and sometimes you wonder why they're having the takes that they have. And I just want you guys to just kind of recognize patterns and see some of the access that they have and who the certain people are that they have the access of, and maybe their opinions of the people that they have access from. And it just kind of gets interesting. There's a lot of access journalism going on where, okay, I'm not going to give Kelly shit because he gave me the big preseason interview. That type of stuff. You've seen that people have been a little afraid to question Kelly at times. We never have been, but sometimes it's been taken as you're anti-Kelly or whatever. Now, I think people are seeing the other side of it. But, there is times you're going to get in trouble with the powers that be when you're doing this job. And to me, that just says that I'm doing my job correctly.
Exactly.
And just keep going.
Right. No, I think that's a perfect way to
well
wrap it
said.
up. And we
That's
got about quarter
perfect.
after. Lonn, everybody knows where you are, but why don't you tell everybody where to find you? Your social
You can
media
find.
and such.
Oh man, thank you guys so much for having me on. Zombie Bob, Chip, and Daniel,
Thanks,
the
Bob.
offensive line guru.
In a
I'm
previous
gonna.
life, I was.
No, seriously, I'm gonna ask you about O-line questions when I have them because I want to learn more X's and O's. I think I know a lot about football, but I probably don't, and I need to brush up on some stuff. I want to talk to you about the O-line, but you can find me on lsuodyssey.com. I'd probably say 98%, 99% of the stuff we post is for free. Very so often we will put stuff that is just subscriber only, and it is as juicy as you'd think. But you can find me on Twitter, twitter.com/Lonn Phillips. That's just the handle. Instagram, LSU Odyssey Lonn. We try and kind of connect all of these things together, all the platforms with YouTube. So if we do a YouTube show, it's going to also be posted on lsuodyssey.com. It's also going to be live on Twitter, live on Instagram, all of that stuff. Try and kind of centralize it and kind of give as many options as possible. But you can find us through there. Mostly just lsuodyssey.com is a central hub that you can, from there, subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to all that stuff. Follow us on Twitter. All that stuff is usually connected through there. But you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for having me on. And next time we do this, you will actually see my face, and I will apologize big time for the technical difficulties because
not at all.
You guys were saying some very nice stuff.
Mike
You
says
guys are saying
sign you
some
up for your
very.
book.
Oh God,
Yeah.
yes.
Michael from
I actually.
a good friend of ours.
Yeah. But no, Lonn, seriously, we wouldn't just blow smoke. Like I think the three of us were very, very sincere in what we said. And like you said, I said, well, gee whiz, you actually talked to 52 people, to report on this. And then you backed that up and said it's most I've ever talked to. But 52 people aren't talking to you if you're not a professional and doing what you're doing and have integrity with what you're doing. So we certainly appreciate your time. We'd love to have you back on another time as your schedule permits. And hopefully hopefully Nussmeier is healthy, and hopefully the O-line gets together and the offensive play calling is creative, and we only lose one down the stretch and we make the playoffs. That would be fine if they get all this done. It's just it doesn't look good right now in the heat of the moment. So
There's always those ebbs and flows and ups and downs in a long season, and let's just hope it's one of those valleys,
yeah,
But,
absolutely.
Yep.
but it doesn't look good. But let's hope for the best. We have a whole week here, but it's already Thursday, so clock is ticking.
Clock is ticking.
Absolutely.
So, all right, Lonn. Again, on
Thanks,
behalf of us,
Lonn,
thanks so
you
much for your
rock.
time. All the best to you and your family and everyone over at LSU Odyssey. And we'll catch up. We'll continue to following you, and we'll catch up with you next time.
And I hope everybody gets their
are-
dishwashers fixed. Zombie.
Yes.
And,
Hey, if you need a plumber, just mention you get 10% off if you mention the Geaux Team.
Hey,
yeah, that's right.
And I would love to have all three of you guys on my show as well. You guys are absolutely welcome. Just hit me up. We'll schedule some time and get together.
That sounds
awesome.
Great, Lonn.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks, Lonn. I appreciate you, brother. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers, baby.
All right,
See you
Thanks a
guys.
lot.
All right. Good night,
All right,
guys.
bye-bye. Good night.